10,000 years, 100 centuries of darkness, of decay, of whispered heresies and forgotten truths. The Imperium of man, the grandest empire the galaxy has ever known, has teetered on the brink of annihilation. It has bled from 1,000,000 battlefronts, assailed by the alien, the mutant, and the heretic. Its people have forgotten the light, clinging instead to superstition and dogma, their faith a pale shadow of the glorious vision that once set the stars ablaze. They pray to a silent throne, a golden edifice where the master of mankind has sat, broken and near death for millennia. But what if the silence was not an end? What if it was merely a pause? Today, we explore one of the most anticipated, most profound what-if scenarios in all of science fiction, the return of the God Emperor of mankind. For 10,000 years, he has been a corpse on a throne, his psychic might the only thing holding back the tides of chaos from swallowing humanity whole. His body is shattered, but his will endures, a silent, psychic scream across the void. The lore has long held that his return is a prophecy, a promise of a final, apocalyptic battle for the soul of humanity. But how would it happen? And what would the galaxy look like if he truly walked among his people again? Let's first consider the state of the Imperium. It is a crumbling edifice, a gothic nightmare of bureaucracy and endless war. The High Lords of Terra rule in the Emperor's name, but their grasp is often tenuous, their motives mired in political intrigue. The ecclesiarchy preaches a doctrine the Emperor himself would have despised, worshiping him as a god, a concept he fought against during his Great Crusade. The Space Marines, his gene-forged sons, are divided into 1,000 chapters, each with its own traditions and interpretations of his will. The common citizen toils in hive cities, their lives short and brutal, their only solace a faith they barely understand. Into this fractured, desperate galaxy, imagine a flicker, a pulse from the golden throne, not a passive containment, but of active, conscious thought. Perhaps the catalyst is the growing psychic wound in the galaxy, the cicatrix maledictum. Perhaps it's the desperate gambit of Archmago's Belisarius call, or the sheer, unyielding faith of 1,000,000,000,000 souls finally reaching a critical mass. Suddenly, the Astronomican, the psychic beacon that guides all interstellar travel, doesn't just shine and sings. A new, clear note of command cuts through the cacophony of the warp. On Terra, the custodian guard, his personal sentinels, would be the first to know. For 10,000 years they have stood vigil, their hope a flickering ember. Now, that ember roars into a bonfire. Imagine the moment. The arcane machinery of the golden throne wearing down, the psychic miasma clearing, and a golden hand, once immobile, clenching into a fist. The master of mankind rises. His physical form is a matter of great debate. Would he be a healed, golden god, as he was in the days of the Crusade? Or would he be something else, a being of pure psychic energy, a Gestalt consciousness given form? Let's imagine he reforms himself, a testament to his unmatched biomancy and psychic power. He would be a figure of overwhelming presence, his psychic aura so powerful it would bring men to their knees in either awe or terror. Not a man, not even a primarch, but something far, far beyond. His first actions would be swift and decisive. The High Lords of Terra would be the first to face his judgment. Those who have served faithfully, despite the corruption of the system, might be spared, but the schemers, the self-serving, the ones who twisted his vision for their own gain, their end would be absolute. He would dismantle the entire structure of the Adeptus Terra, not with armies, but with a single, undeniable command. He is the rightful ruler. Their authority, derived from him, is now void. Next, the ecclesiarchy, the imperial cult, the state religion that deifies him, would be anathema. He waged the Great Crusade to free humanity from the shackles of superstition and false gods. To find himself the object of such worship would be the ultimate irony, the ultimate failure. He wouldn't just reform it, he would shatter it. He would declare, in a voice heard psychically across every world, that he is not a god. He is the protector of humanity, its guide, but not its deity. The truth, the imperial truth he once championed, would be re-established. This act alone would cause a civil war of faith on a scale never before seen, far greater than the Horus heresy. Trillions would refuse to abandon their god, branding the returned emperor a false idol, a trick of chaos. It would be a terrible, necessary purge. And one of his sons, the Primarchs, Robu Guilliman, the Avenging Son, has already returned and serves as Lord Commander of the Imperium. The meeting between father and son would be monumental. Guilliman, the pragmatist, has struggled to hold the broken Imperium together, making compromises the Emperor never would. Would the Emperor see his son's efforts as a noble success or a litany of failures? Would he embrace Gilliman or cast him aside for not adhering to the original grand plan? Imagine the Emperor then turning his gaze to the traitors, to his lost sons who fell to chaos. He would not offer them redemption. His mercy died on the fields of Isfahan III. His return would signal the true final act of the heresy. He would hunt them down. Mortarion, Angren, Magnus the Red, they would face their father not as a broken man on a throne, but as the psychic powerhouse who once dominated the galaxy. The warp would tremble. The chaos gods themselves would be forced to focus their full attention on him, for he represents the one true threat to their very existence, order, reason, and human ascendancy. His grand strategy would be reborn. The Imperial Webway Project, his failed masterwork designed to free humanity from its reliance on warp travel, would be restarted. With his unparalleled knowledge, it could finally be achieved, uniting the scattered domains of man and cutting off a major source of chaos's influence. He would unleash technological marvels, secrets locked within his mind for millennia, upgrading the Imperium's armies and infrastructure overnight. The slow, grinding attrition that has defined the last 10,000 years would be over. The era of the Great Crusade would return, but this time, it would be a crusade of reclamation and vengeance. However, his return would not be a simple victory. It would be an apocalypse. The galaxy would burn. The forces of chaos, the Tyranid high fleets, the awakening Necron dynasties, the vast Orquas all would sense this monumental shift in power. They would see the newly resurgent Imperium not as a foe to be fought, but as the ultimate prize or the ultimate threat to be extinguished. The final war, the end times of this dark millennium, would begin in earnest. The Emperor's presence would be a double-edged sword. He is the ultimate symbol of order, but his methods are absolute. There is no room for debate, no space for dissent. He would see a humanity that has become weak, superstitious, and fearful. His solution would be brutal, swift, and efficient. He would forge them anew in the fires of war and absolute truth, whether they wished for it or not. The cost in lives would be astronomical, but to him, it would be a necessary price to save the species from extinction. The Imperium under his direct rule would be a terrifyingly efficient, logical, and utterly ruthless state, a true embodiment of for the greater good, no matter how terrible the cost. So, the return of the Emperor isn't just a happy ending. It's the beginning of the final, most terrifying chapter in humanity's history. It's a story of a father returning to find his house in ruins, his children lost to madness and despair, and he would be willing to burn the house to the ground to rebuild it, to save the family from itself. The corpse on the throne is a symbol of suffering and endurance. The walking Emperor would be a symbol of terrible, glorious, and awe-inspiring purpose. The galaxy has prayed for its savior to return. It should be careful what it wishes for. What do you think? Would the Emperor's return be the salvation of mankind, or its final, self-inflicted damnation? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the lore, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next galactic exploration. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.